I don't want to concern anybody, but it was kind of touch and go as to whether or not most of these would make it back to Berlin. Hi, welcome, come on in. My name is Aoife, and today I am taking you through the haul that I got as Christmas presents, as part of Christmas vouchers, and some books that I treated myself to at the start of the new year. Like I said, there were quite a few of them, and genuinely, it was kind of touch and go as to whether some of these would make it back to Berlin or not, because I did start to run out of space a little bit sooner than I thought that I would. What I'm going to start with is a gift that my friend Roisin made for me. You will have seen her in a couple of videos that I have done throughout the year, and she made me this. It says Aoife's Reads 2022 on it, and it has the covers of all of the books that I loved so much in 2022, as well as like some longtime favorites, some books that she and I have loved together. And then she said to me, you know what, I'm going to keep an eye on your Instagram for the rest of the year, or maybe you tell me what your favorite books of 2023 are, and I'll make little ones that you can put in there for the end of next year too. So I know that this is like shaped as a Christmas bauble, but I think this is going to be a year-round bauble. I might actually hang it up on the top of my bookshelf, and I'm going to treasure it forever. She also gave me this. It is the Ultimate Reading Challenge, and if I open it up, you have got like 25, I think, little envelopes that you can open up of like your own kind of little reading challenge that you can tick out maybe throughout the year or across your lifetime or whatever. So I'm obviously going to start with it now, but there are some of these that genuinely I never would have even thought about doing. Like make or order a snack or meal described in a book that you have been reading, read a book that's been sitting on your shelf unread for more than a year, get a copy of your favorite book, give it to a family member or friend, special occasion not required. I think this is going to be such a wonderful thing for me to open up and for me to open all of the packages throughout the rest of the year. I cannot wait to get started on it. So then, let's do while we're really here. Let's do the books. These are not going to be in any particular order as to where I bought them from, as to where I got them, as to when I got them, but the first one that has come to my hand is A Million to One by Adiba Jargadar. This is her latest YA book. I think it either came out at the end of December or the start of January, and I am hooked about this idea. It is a sapphic heist that takes place on the Titanic, and as soon as I heard the word Titanic, I was all about it. I was a Titanic girly when I was younger. Everybody had something that they were hyper fixated on when they were younger, and for me, it was the Titanic. So as soon as I heard that that was going to be in this book, I was just all over it. I've also read Adiba's other two books. I've read The Henna Wars and I've read Hani and Ishu's Guide to Fake Dating, and I was obsessed with the two of them. So I know that her writing style is definitely something that works for me, and I am so excited to see where this book is going to take me. Next up is another YA, and as you can see from the bookmark, this is the one that I'm currently reading. This is Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. This is her YA debut, but she is one of my favourite contemporary romance authors at the moment. This, of course, doesn't have all of the spice that the Brown Sister trilogy would have, but it has all of the heart, it has all of the love, it has all of the kind of friendship vibes that you would expect to see from those books. So I know that I'm in very safe hands here. And as well, if you are somebody who is a bit of an older reader and who has really enjoyed Talia Hibbert's stuff, but knows that there's a younger reader in your life that you would really love to introduce her works to, but have never felt comfortable to do it before, this is definitely the one to do it. Next up is one that still has the receipt in it, and that is Loathe to Love You by Ali Hazelwood. This is a collection of all three of the feminist novellas that came out, I think kind of dotted around 2022. I think that one of them is set on an expedition to Antarctica, and I'm not sure about the other two of them, but I've enjoyed both of the Ali Hazelwood books that I have read already, so I have got rather high hopes for this one. Next up is Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. I will admit that I have already tried to read this book. I started the audiobook of it on Spotify, but because you cannot change the speed of an audiobook on Spotify, I actually found it really tedious, really boring, just because of the speed. I actually really enjoyed the banter between Luke and Oliver. I really enjoyed the relationship between the two of them. And I also really enjoyed the humour that is in this book. And I know as well, I've already read Rosalind Palmer Takes the Cake by the same author. So I know that I enjoy Alexis Hall's writing style. I just feel like I needed to read it in a totally different format for me to get on board with it a little bit more. I also got a copy of After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is the last of her contemporary romance books that I needed to add to my collection. And I did have a little bit of a panic because I didn't know if I already had it or not, considering that on Goodreads I had already shelved it as on my physical TBR. However, everything went fine and I didn't have it. I think this is about a relationship or a marriage that has gone wrong, and now they're kind of trying to see where each other is in their lives and build everything back together and piece it all back together. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have loved her writing. Everything that I have read from her has been a complete hit, so I know I've got something good in my hands. Another Taylor Jenkins Reid book that I picked up, and I finished it within the start of this year, was Maybe in Another Life, and I genuinely was so hooked on this. I visited a friend while I was reading this, and we just kind of sat together one night reading, crocheting, listening to music, doing whatever we were doing. And there was one section or paragraph that I think my face dropped, my face fell, and she asked, I really have to read that book when you're finished with it. Can I keep this? Would you mind if it stays here? And I said, absolutely, but I'm going to have to ransack your shelves and take something from you. So from her, I took Lease on Love by Fallon Ballard. She read this. She really loved it. She really enjoyed it. She said that the third act breakup wasn't one of her favorite third act breakups, but I'm going to keep an open mind. I'm going to go into it. From what I understand of this book, as she has described it to me, is the main character, whose name is Sadie, goes onto a dating app after she has broken up with her boyfriend to kind of find new love, to kind of find something to keep her mind off of it, basically, and goes on a date with Jack. And Jack keeps asking her some really personal questions like, where do you work and how often do you plan on being at home? And it turns out that she didn't sign up for a dating app. She accidentally signed up to be his roommate. So there's a kind of a forced proximity storyline that's going to be in here, I think. And if there's anything to do with forced proximity, I'm all over it. While I went to visit said friend, we went to a bookshop that was really close to her, and I knew one of the booksellers named Ross. So I gave him the option of, would you like to pick out a book for me? And this is what he did for me.
Waterstone Strata. Okay.
So Ross is gonna recommend a book for me to read.
Okay, and I'm hoping that you haven't read it already.
Yeah, what if I?
So I think that I'm gonna go with Caroline O'Donoghue.
I have read Scenes of a Graphic.
Okay, I've got a backup.
Okay,
This
great.
Is good. I just thought.
I love Scenes of Graphic Nature though.
Amazing.
Did you just say porn star?
She is. Am I not allowed to say that?
No, you are. I've also read Mr.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Those are my two options. Okay. Reevaluate.
See, this is the problem when you are buying them for book lovers, that they've literally read
Have you
everything.
read this?
I haven't, but I've heard it's so good.
So this is When All Is Said, and it's about this 84-year-old man. He's called Morris, and he sits down one night in this bar and he kind of reflects over his whole life, and he has five drinks, and he toasts to 5 people who's meant the most to him throughout his life. And it's gonna make you cry, but it's just such a beautiful story, and he's one of those characters that will literally just like stay with you forever. Like, I read this, I think 2 years ago maybe, and I just still remember Morris. You know, he's just, and it's an Irish author, which is always great. So
Is it a debut?
When All Is Said, I think it is her debut.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
it was her first novel. She's got a new one out this year as well.
Oh, nice.
But When All Is Said.
As Ross has just told you, he picked me out When All Is Said by Anne Griffin. As he said, this is her debut. As he said, this is going to be very heartbreaking. This is going to be a really emotional read. So I think I need to be in the right space for it. I think I might maybe read it in March for the Irish Readathon because Anne Griffin is an Irish author. I think I just need to be in the right headspace to pick this one up, but I am genuinely really excited to read it because, as you can tell from my reaction, this is one that I have heard such great things about. I also picked up a copy of 7 Days in June by Taylor Williams. I've seen so many booktubers who have read this and absolutely loved it. I had got my eye on this for such a long time. I know it's been out for a couple of years, and I think this is kind of a second chance romance. So I am a little bit kind of hesitant about that side of it because second chance romance and I don't always see eye to eye. But I'm going to go in with an open mind. I'm going to give it its best shot. And I know that this is also about 2 writers. And that's something that I really love reading in books. I love reading about writers and about readers and about books in books. So let's see how we got on. I also treated myself to an entire series that is out so far. So I picked up all 3 books in the Before the Coffee Gets Cold series by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. This is obviously the English translation of them because my Japanese is not up to scratch enough to read the originals. I have already read Before the Coffee Gets Cold and I utterly loved it. It is very heartbreaking and it is very heart-wrenching, but it is such a beautifully told story about a coffee shop in Tokyo where you can go back in time and you can visit somebody who you've lost or you've lost touch with or you've lost contact. But the stipulation is that you have to return to the present day before the cup of coffee that you have ordered has gotten cold. I'm really excited to see what the next 2 books in this series are going to be like, and I cannot wait to get picking them up. Finally, there were 2 cookbooks. For my parents, I got a copy of Midweek Meals by Nevin Maguire, who is a really famous chef back at home in Ireland. I think this is going to be like kind of quick, easy but filling and comforting meals. I've had a little flick through it and there's a lot of stuff that's already caught my mind that I'm gonna try and implement into my daily routine. I'm gonna try and not necessarily officially bring cooking the books back, but I am definitely going to try and cook some more out of my cookbooks this year. And I also picked up for myself a copy of Skinny Pasta, which is a pasta book, and I am obsessed with pasta. It's one of my favorite food groups. But I feel like this has kind of more low calorie or lighter meals. So if I'm not feeling super hungry, but I still want to eat something that's going to fill me up, I think this is the one that I'm going to go for. Those were all of the books that either I treated myself to or I was treated to over the festive season. What books did you get over Christmas? Or are there any of these books that you think that I should start out with? If you'd love to leave me a comment but you can't think of anything that you would like to say, then just leave me the money bag emoji. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I have new videos up every week. Now, get on out of here.